Fitness. Today's session has been specifically designed for those that travel on business and want to maintain their exercise program. Certainly this program is doable for anyone that wants to maintain their exercise program while on vacation and to do a home workout. I have designed this program to incorporate a dynamic warm-up, a cardio drill warm-up, strength and power, and core conditioning. So there's 4 phases. You can do the whole workout all at once, or you can break them up in parts. We know that maintaining your exercise program is really hard when you're traveling, so feel free to take components of this workout and do what you can and what feels right for you, and just have fun. So I'll be demonstrating the movements and progressions that you can choose from. So whether you're a novice exerciser, someone who's been exercising on a regular basis, or someone that prefers higher intensity, you can choose the progression that's right for you. What you'll need is some exercise band, a mat, possibly a chair depending if you need that, your water bottle and towel, and overall your energy. So let's get started. And as always consult your doctor before starting an exercise program. Listen to your body and move within a range of motion that feels comfortable for you, that is pain-free, and most importantly, just have fun. All right, so here we go. So this is the dynamic warm-up, so you won't really need anything but your body. You can perform 10 repetitions, 15 repetitions for 1 to 2 sets. We're going to start out with a squat start, a squat rotation. So feet are shoulder width apart, bring your arms up, shoulder height, cross your arms over. You're going to push your hips back, drive out of those hips, and then reach back behind you. Sit into those hips, reach back behind you, make sure that you're driving through the hips. Keep your torso long and tall. Reach further back as you get comfortable with your movement. So start small and get bigger. I think we have 2 more to go. All right, so your next exercise is a reverse lunge with a side bend. You're going to start with your feet shoulder width apart, step back, and then reach over to the side. Step together, step back with the right leg, and then bend over and reach over to the left. Repeat that. Do this for about 10 reps. Get long and tall. Sink into those hips. And 2 more. All right, so the next exercise is a hip hinge. We're going to go ahead and balance this on your leg, reaching forward, switch legs. So a progression to this would be to just hinge. Make sure that your hinge is a little bit smaller. You can go a little bit deeper. You want to maintain a flat back. So that's a couple of options there, and then if you feel really comfortable, you can go ahead and hinge a little bit more. Let's do 2 more. Okay, so our next exercise is a walkout T rotation plank with alternating runner's lunge. This is a great way to work on the back. We call this the posterior chain, so to work on the back side of the body. We sit a lot in life, so this is a wonderful way to just kind of open up the front chain, stretch out the back chain, and then open up those hips. So we're going to start with a nice tall reach up into the sky. We're going to take a forward fold, walk out into a plank, walk out into a plank. You're going to rotate into a side plank, reaching up, switch sides, Bring your right leg up to your right hand. Kind of hang out here for a minute. Open up those hips. Enjoy that stretch. Take that leg back. Bring that other left leg forward. Take it back. And then you're going to walk your hands back towards your feet. Inhale. And then exhale. We'll do that 3 more times. I'm only going to do 4, but you can do 10 of these if you'd like. We're going to open up. Make sure that that shoulder stays stacked over the wrist. Open to the other side. Right leg forward. Left leg forward. Walk it back. Inhale up. We'll do that 2 more times. Step forward, step back. This is a workout in itself. Let's do 1 more. Beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to take it down to the floor, and we're going to work on some joint mobilization exercises. Like I said, we sit a lot in life, and you know, as you travel, you're sitting on the plane, you're sitting at the airport. This is a great way to get that glute activated, stretch out the hip flexors from sitting all the time. Your feet are about hip width apart, hands are at your side. Sometimes I like to instruct my clients to bring their palms up to stay out of their shoulders, but certainly either way is fine. You want to drive through your glutes, so activate your core and push into the heels, driving your hips forward. Be careful not to hyperextend into the lower back. So keep a nice long line here from the knee down to the top part, bottom of your shoulder blades. Slowly lower the hips down. Make sure that you're always squeezing through the glutes and not into the lower back. Can you see that? Rise it up. Bring it down. Up and down. Let's do a few more. So yeah, so this is a really nice way to kind of open up those hip flexors, get that glute and hamstring activation. We got about 4 more. And if you're feeling this in your lower back or you're feeling this in your shoulders, then you're not squeezing with your glutes. Let's do 2 more. And before we move on to that next exercise, let's go ahead and draw those knees into the chest. You can release the lower back. All right, so the next exercise is called dead bug. No pun intended. Okay, so you're going to you want to flex your knees and your hips and your ankles to about 90 degrees. You're going to maintain the flexion in the knees while you lower from your hip. Another important point to remember is that you keep the small of your back married or connected to the floor as you lower the leg. Your arms are overhead. It's an oppositional movement, so I'm going to lower my right leg as down, tapping my heel to the floor overhead. The important thing here is to remember to also maintain connection with your lower back onto the mat. So we're going to move up oppositionally, so your right leg will go tap the heel down while your left arm reaches overhead. So if you notice, I'm maintaining a flexion at my knee, and I'm moving from my hips. Super important to keep the lower back connected to the mat. This way you also activate your core. All right, so make sure that you do 10 or 15 of these, 1 to 2 sets. We're going to finish up the dynamic warm-up with bird dog. This is called a quadruped position, or on all fours. We're going to warm up the core, and we're going to warm up the lower back, or the back extensor muscles, to get our body ready to prepare to move. So we're going to reach, keeping our hips squared. We're going to go ahead and take elbow to knee and tuck, extend it back, and then set it down and change sides. Tuck and reach. If you need a progression, if you need a modification for this exercise, you can simply work on just the extension, set it back down, reach out, set it back down. Or you can extend the leg, or you can reach out, or you can do the whole thing. And then just to wrap up the segment, we can go ahead and do a child's pose stretch. So shift your hips into your heels with your arms reaching in front, stretching the lower back, stretching the side. Okay, so this concludes the dynamic warm-up. You want to do 10 to 15 repetitions, 1 to 2 sets. Do what you feel that feels right for you. We're going to go into the cardio drills just to warm up, get the blood flowing, and getting ready for more advanced movement. So we're going to start out with basic jumping jacks, so simple. I'll show you a couple modifications if you can't jump or don't want to jump. So for a basic jack, you can just tap out to the side, add no jump to it. Okay? You can add a little bit more of a bounce, add a little bit of a squat, make the movement a little bit bigger, and then certainly go ahead and go for a basic jumping jack. Do this for 30 seconds. And then we'll move on to the second exercise. The second exercise is high knees. So I'm going to show you the modification, or the progressions. This is progression 1 for high knees. Notice that I'm keeping my hips underneath my shoulders. I'm lifting my knees to hip height. And if you need to take it down, that's totally fine. All right, and then here's the next progression. So I'm not quite jumping yet. I'm coming up on my toes. All right, so that's another option. And then this option here. That's the more advanced option. So you'll do this for 30 seconds. Great. So the next exercise is called the butt kicks. Here, you want to keep your knees underneath your hip, activating the hamstrings. Of course, don't rock side to side, but I just wanted to show you. So you're doing that, and then you can add a little bit of a hop, all right, for a little bit more intensity. And then, of course, this is snapping up those heels. Great. So the next exercise is called the Heisman. The Heisman is a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 cadence. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. You can go a little bit faster, right? And then you can go a little bit quicker and a little bit deeper. Do that for 30 seconds. All right, next exercise is called skater lunge. Skater lunge can be modified with a step touch. So a big step out to the side, tap the heel back. Keep your range of motion a little bit smaller. You can progress this movement into a deeper squat, tap, and then a hop. So you choose what option is best for you. The final exercise is called a squat jack. You're going to start with your body full and upright. You're going to squat down and squat back together. Stand back up. If you don't want to go that deep, you can keep your squat a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter. Make sure you're driving those hips back. You can get a little bit bigger. And then certainly add a little bit more power into that movement. All right, that concludes the cardio warm-up drills. 30 seconds per exercise. Rotate through those, 2 to 3 sets. If you have a jump rope, that is always a great way to add a little bit more cardio into the mix. Great exercise. You only need 10, 20, maybe 30 minutes of that. So now we're going to move on to the strength and power conditioning. Here I want you to think about doing maybe 10 to 15 reps. We're going to start incorporating the exercise bands. A lot of body weight training. First exercise is a squat. Feet are shoulder width apart, toes are slightly turned out. You want to sit back into your hips like you're going into a chair. Make sure that your knees are driving to your second and third toe. Keep your torso long and tall. Push your hips back, weight in the heels, drive through those glutes. Sit back into those hips, drive through those glutes. Another progression 2, would be to come up on the toes. You still want to drive through those hips, still driving through those hips, keeping that back long and tall, and then you can also add a jump for progression 3. Add a jump, soft landing, always into the hips and always into the heels. The next exercise are push-ups. We're going to go back into that quadruped for progression 1. Hands are wide and shoulder width apart. You're going to lower your chest and your nose to the floor. Push off your chest, lower, push up. Maintain your hips over your knees, no shifting back into the hips. So essentially you're putting the load in the upper body. To progress this to progression 2, come down onto your knees, get a little bit deeper. You want to hover probably about a fist off the floor. Come down, elbows are out, push off your chest, lower, and then up. For advanced progression 3, lower and push. Maintain a strong core. Awesome. Now we're on to reverse lunges, or lunges rather, sorry. So from here, I'm going to stand sideways so you can see the angle of my body. You're going to step back, kind of like railroad tracks, not like you're skiing, because then you'll feel wobbly. So your hips, feet are shoulder width apart. Step back in parallel like 2 railroad tracks. Okay, tilt that pelvis forward. Launch straight down. This is progression 1. Straight down. So you can see that I'm maintaining my knee over my ankle. My hips are straight down. That's progression 1. Do your 10 reps, 15 reps, change sides. For progression 2, you can add a reverse lunge. You can stay on the same side, or you can alternate sides. And then for progression 3, you can add a split jump. So I'll go sideways so you can see that. So you're pushing out of the glutes. Use your arms, helps with the lift. And then finally, let's grab those bands. There's really no real progression to this exercise except to go heavier in your band tension. So I'm going to take the red. You're going to place this underneath your foot. You're going to give me a staggered stance. Okay? Torso's long and tall, shoulders down, proud chest. You're going to go ahead and drive that elbow back. And think about your shoulder blade slipping into that back pocket. So long and tall, draw that shoulder blade in towards the spine. That's called a retraction. And then slide it down. So you'll do 10 or 15 reps, change sides, repeat that exercise. Wait, you forget, what's my next exercise?
Side lunge?
Huh?
Side lunge?
Side lunge. Sorry, we're just trying to figure out what exercise is next. All right, so I'm going to show you a side lunge. All right, so for a progression 1, we're going to use a chair. Okay, so you're going to go wider than shoulder width apart, and you're going to practice shifting from side to side. What's important here is if you notice, my knee is staying behind my toe, and I'm sitting into my hip while I maintain long, tall posture. Come out, push out of that hip, shift back into the other hip. Drive out of that hip and sit back into that hip. If you feel comfortable with this exercise, but still feel like you need a little extra support, go ahead and hold on, and you can go ahead and step sideways, and hold on to the back of the chair. Okay? So, if you feel comfortable with that, then we're going to go ahead and do body weight. So you're going to sit right back into that opposite leg, stay straight. You're going to sit back into that hip, sit back into that hip. You want to add just a little bit more, notch it up. You're going to sit back, give me a little hop, and a little hop. So that's progression 3. We're on to the reverse fly. So this is where you're going to grab your band, go with a lighter tension. Go with a lighter tension. Is this the right next exercise? Okay, lighter tension. And you're going to raise your arms at shoulder width height. We're working on reverse the rear shoulders and a little bit of back. So set those shoulders down. Set those shoulders down. Okay? And think about just pulling it apart. Hold at the contraction point. Slowly release it back in. Pull it apart and bring it back in. What?
Low battery.
Okay, so what's next? Bicep curl. Oh no, I know, this one. Okay, so we have the axe chop. So this is progression 1. Do each side. Bring your arms, your hands to your knee. Option 2 is a little bit more power. So you're going to drive down, and if you want, I'm not very good at this one, so don't laugh at my form, but you can add a jump. So you can add a jump, and add a jump. So those are your 3 progressions. The next exercise is the bicep curl. Again, you can use different tensions for your progression. So you're going to stand upright, step over the, place the band underneath your feet, stand up nice and tall, shoulders down, and just simply curl your arms up towards your shoulders. Slow release down, curl it up, and lower down. Let's do 2 more. 1 more. Awesome. Okay.
Dips.
Huh?
Dips.
Dips. Okay. So I'm going to give you 2 tricep exercises. The first one is dips. You can use your chair. Progression 1 is to keep your legs bent. What's important here is that your elbows go straight back and that you keep your back close to the seat. If you pull forward and lower down, you can see that there's a lot of strain on that shoulder joint. So stay nice and close. Think about sliding your back down the edge of the seat. Lower down, push out of your triceps. So I have a shoulder injury, so I'm only going to show a few. A progression is to lengthen the legs, and then you can also go a little bit deeper, and then you can certainly straighten the legs out, bring them closer together as a way to progress this movement. If dips aren't your thing, because it can be a little bit challenging on the wrist, or you just don't like them, we can do tricep push-ups. Like the push-up, we're going to start with a quadruped. The only difference here is that your hands are going to be closer. You want to think about joint alignment here, so make sure that your elbows and wrists are directly underneath your shoulders. We're going to go ahead and lower our elbows down, our forearms to the floor, elbows in. Without shifting into the hips, you're going to push out of your triceps back up to your full and upright position. Forearms and elbows down to the floor, pushing from the triceps out of your elbows without shifting back into your feet. Then, progression 2 is to angle your body out more. Elbows go straight back, push out of your triceps, keep your core engaged, shoulders down, and then progression 3 would be on toes, lower down, push out, lower down, and push. Excellent. Okay, what's next? This is my core?
Yep.
All right, great. So we are on to the core. And I have just a couple of exercises.
Plank.
Huh? Forgot my first one, sorry.
Plank.
Planks. Oh yeah, straddle planks. All right, so this is this exercise is called straddle jacks, or plank jacks rather. So you're going to assume a plank position. Option 1 is to go out with the right, back in, and then out with the left, back to center. So you will repeat that. That's option or progression 1. Progression 2 would be out, out, in, in. So essentially you're walking it out, out, in. Progression 3 is to add a little straddle jump, which is why it's called the plank jack. Awesome. Shake your hands out. You're going to grab your mat, and we're going to do the hip drop. Works your obliques. You're going to stack your elbow underneath your shoulder, bend that bottom knee or leg, and you're just going to lift up the hips. Now, the hip drop is dropping the hip. If you struggle with this one, hold the plank. Work on strengthening from a plank position only. When you feel comfortable and stronger, then you can go ahead. If you can maintain this plank position for 30 seconds, go ahead and move on to the hip drop. So you're going to drop the hip, keep the hip over hip stacked, lift it up from your obliques, drop it just a little bit, bring it back up. Progression 2 is fully lengthen the legs, but straddle the feet, stagger them. You're going to drop the hips, pick it up, drop and lift. And then for option 3, stack your legs as if in a side plank. Drop the hips, pick it up. So you can see the drop is not very big. It's just to get a little bit of a stretch and a little bit of a hike up from the obliques. You'll repeat the other side. And for the final, one more. So remember that dead bug? So we're going to go back to that one, except we're going to do both arms, both legs. You're going to maintain a 90-degree bend at the ankle, knee, and hips. Arms are up overhead. You're going to maintain flexion at the knee, and you're going to lower and tap to the floor, tap the heels to the floor as you reach overhead. What's important here? Yes, maintaining connection to the mat. Maintain connection to the mat. And then finally, to get a nice rounded core workout, we can't forget about our lower backs, especially because we're sitting like this. I tell my students that's called T-Rex syndrome. So, you can laugh now. Anyways, so actually I'm going to go on this side because I have that shoulder injury. So assume a face down position. Here's option 1. Option 1, you have a couple of options. You can lift up with just the arms while you maintain your feet down. You can also do one arm at a time, depending on where your fitness level or ability is at. You can pick up just the legs, and then option 2 is to extend opposite arm, opposite leg. So my left is up, my right is up, my right leg is up. I release that. My right arm is up and my left arm is up. Progression 3, Superman, or in this case, Superwoman. They don't call me the Machinator for nothing. All right, and so, of course, add some stretching in there so we can do our little child's pose to release that lower back. That concludes the hotel room, home, on vacation workout. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Remember, for the core, do 30 seconds per exercise, 2 to 3 sets. You can break up these workouts. You don't have to do the whole thing. I know that time is very limited when you're traveling for business. So choose what's best for you, have fun, and move well.